Today we're going to learn about multiples and how to find the least common multiple between two or more numbers. So a multiple of a number is the product, which is the answer to a multiplication problem, of a number and any other whole number. Facts about multiples. Every number is a multiple of 1. The first multiple of every number is the number itself. So a multiple of a number can't be less than the number. Multiples of any number are infinite. And what infinite means is it goes on forever. So there is no end. So if something's infinite, there's no end to it, okay? So basically a multiple are your times tables. Okay? So we've talked about factors. And remember, factors are the numbers you multiply together to get a number. So 2 times 3 is 6, okay? But multiples are your times tables. So if you're going to say multiples of 6, you would say 6, 12, 18, and then you would keep going, okay? So how to find multiples of a number. Multiply the given number by 1, 2, 3, and continue on. The products which, as we said, and I'll write it over here to the side, is the answer to multiplication problems. So the products are multiples of the given number. So for example, multiples of 3 are 3 times 1, which is 3. So 3 is a multiple. The next multiple would be 6, 3 times 2. The next would be 9, 3 times 3. Then you would do 3 times 4 is 12, 3 times 5 is 15. You would just keep going. Okay? So, skip counting is a way to find multiples, and that is where you just do repetitive addition. So this is what you learned how to do in elementary school. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, that's skip counting. So that's one way. Another way is to know the common multiples. Okay, and that are multiples that two numbers have in common. Okay, so that's what we're going to talk about or focus on today. So multiples are just your times table. So you have multiples of every number that there are. Okay, it's just the times table. So if you were to list multiples of 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's why every number is a multiple of 1. Okay, multiples of 2, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Multiples of 3, we started listing those, okay? But a common multiple is going to be, if you're asked about two different numbers, these two numbers have the same multiple, okay? And then what we're going to focus on is the least common multiple, or the LCM, okay? So you're trying to find a common multiple, and out of all the common multiples, what's the smallest number that's common between the two numbers, okay? That may have sounded very confusing, so let me just show you, okay? So, let's look at 4, 5, and 10. So, I'm going to list the multiples of 4. I'm going to put 4, because 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times 3 is 12. 4 times 4 is 16. 4 times 5 is 20. 4 times 6 is 24. And then I can keep going, right? All right, and then if I look at the number 5, those are really easy. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, and then I can keep going, right? And then 10, those are easy as well. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, so on and so forth. Okay? So now I'm looking for common multiples. So out of these numbers, which ones do they have in common? Well, with all three numbers, or with all three sets of numbers, I see 20. Is there any number smaller than 20 or any other number in common that we see? I don't. So that means that my LCM is 20. Now, if you have your calculator, I'd like for you to get that out. And just like with GCF, on the calculator, we can find the LCM. So if you pull out your calculator, just like with GCF, you go to Math, but instead of going down to 2, you just smash Enter because you're already on number 1, and you put in the 2 numbers. Now, we have 3 numbers here, and that's a problem because if I do 4, 5, 10, close the parentheses, it says error, okay? That means that something I put in is not okay with the calculator. And that's because you can't do 3 numbers. So when you have 3 numbers, what you do is in the calculator, you put in 4 and 5. So you would do Math, Enter for number 1, 4, 5. You find the LCM between the first 2. So the LCM is 20. Then you put in that LCM with 10. So Math, number 1 again, put in the LCM between your first 2 numbers, comma, that third number, and this answer will be the LCM for all 3. So whatever this LCM is, it's for all 3. It just happens in this case to be the same number, but that is not always going to be the case when you have 3 numbers. So while you can't put in 3 numbers at one time, you can do the first 2 and then do its LCM with your last number. Okay? So now let's look at the second example. And I can list out the factors of 24 and 15, and I can use my calculator to list them by saying, well, we know times 1, 24. Then I can do 24 times 2, whoop, not 32, just 2. And I get 48. Then I can do 24 times 3, get 72. Then I can do 15 times 1 is 15. I know 15 times 2 is 30, but 15 times 3 I'm not sure, so I'm going to punch it in. Okay, 45. And I can keep going, but that takes a lot of time. So if I use the shortcut, I just go to Math. I want number 1. I punch in 24, 15. And it tells me the LCM is 120. So that's pretty simple. So now you tell me the LCM of 60 and 120. Okay, if you did this one, you should have went to Math, number 1, punch in 60, 120. Boom, the LCM is 120. Now, let's stop right here and just have a little chat. On this one, I want you to notice something. Our LCM is one of our numbers that we're asked to find the LCM of. So a trick that you can always use is if you have, or when you look at your 2 numbers, if one of your numbers can be divided by the other, that's always your LCM. Because with multiples, the smallest multiple of 120 is 120, because 120 times 1 is 120. So if you can say 120 divided by 60 and get a whole number, your LCM has to be 120. Not sure if that makes sense. Hopefully it does. If not, always do Math, number 1, punch it in. But that's just a little shortcut that you can use. Alright, go ahead and find the LCM of the last one. And remember, when you have 3, do the LCM of the first 2 in your calculator, use that answer and the last one to find your total LCM. Okay, if you did that, you should have put in your calculator Math, Enter for number 1, 9, 12. and you should have gotten 36, and I'm just going to write that down so that I remember. And then you're going to put in your calculator 36, 15 for the final answer, which means that the LCM for all three is 180. Okay? All right, let's flip over to the back. All right, on the back at the bottom, I just want you to make note that you have instructions for your calculator for LCM and GCF, but we're just going to look at the first problem together, and then you're going to do the rest on your own. So number 1 says, Aaron has painting class every 2 weeks. Kate has pottery class every 5 weeks. Aaron and Kate meet at the art building for class this week. How many weeks will it be until they see each other again? Anytime you're being asked a question about frequency, how often someone will meet, when they'll see each other again, that's always LCM, because you're trying to see at what point in the different times, or the different times things are occurring, is it going to happen at the same time. So you're finding common multiples between two numbers. So all you're doing is you're trying to see with 2 weeks and 5 weeks, with painting and pottery occurring every 2 weeks and every 5 weeks, when's the next time that those classes are going to happen on the same week? So what's the LCM between 2 and 5? So using our calculator, or not, these are kind of easy. You can list it out: 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 5, 10. That was easy. LCM is 10. Or if you want to use the calculator, math, number 1, 2, 5, and in fact our LCM is 10. These should be fairly easy, but if you are confused at any point, please raise your hand and I will come help you. Go ahead and finish 2 through 6.